So Kemet, Egypt is often referred to, well, the U.S. is often referred to as Egypt of the West. We know the layout of Washington, D.C. is based upon the layout of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. Tony Browder deals with this in his book, Egypt on the Potomac, which we talk about here in the class as well. There's a good article from face-to-faceafrica.com called Cleopatra's Needle, how 3 ancient Egyptian obelisks ended up in New York City, London, and Paris, France. And the obelisks are what are called Tekhen, Tekhen for singular, Tekhen for plural. And these were symbols of resurrection coming from the story of Asar, Aset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus. Here we see the Tekhen from London, England, New York City, and Paris, France. Ancient Egyptians called obelisks Tekhen, and they were also used to tell the time in the past. Their pinnacles were basically covered in gold to reflect the sunlight. Historians say that obelisks represented immortality and eternity, and their long structure helped connect the heavens and the earth. Currently, Cleopatra's Needle is the name given to 3 ancient Egyptian obelisks, one in New York City, one in London, England, and one in Paris, France. However, they do not all come from one Egyptian site, okay? And they talk about how the 2 obelisks were commissioned by Nesubiti Thutmose III, or Pharaoh Thutmose III, for the Temple of the Sun in Heliopolis, near modern-day Cairo. This is a famous statue of Asar in the middle, Asar, Aset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus, and known as the First Holy Trinity. We know Heru was born of a virgin birth. Now, some of this information may go outside the circumference of some people's awareness. Just because you disagree with it or don't like it does not mean it's not true. It just means you have to do some research to understand what we're talking about. Okay. So Asar, Aset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus. He was born of a virgin birth on December 25th to the virgin Aset. We know that Aset means she of throne. It could mean she is throne also. And she's associated with love and fertility. Now, there were approximately 1,200 Tekhen built in ancient Kemet in ancient times, but only about a dozen are found in Egypt today. Many of the Tekhen removed from Egypt are now in Istanbul, Turkey, London, England, Paris, France, Berlin, Germany, New York, Rome, Italy, Vatican City, and elsewhere throughout the world. The Tekhen are now called obelisks by their new owners, and few know their origin or that they symbolize the resurrection of the African king Asar. If you read page 17 of Egypt on the Potomac by Tony Browder, Browder deals with this information there. Now, when we look at Freemasonry, right, Freemasonry has its origins in ancient Africa, especially the Nile Valley region of Africa. The word Mason is derived from the Latin words mass and sun. Mason means child of light and expresses the desire to pursue light, which is a metaphor for the sun, which symbolizes knowledge. The term child of light, or sons and daughters of light, was first used to identify students who had completed 42 years of study in the temples of ancient Kemet. Many Masonic temples were modeled after the temples of ancient Kemet, places where knowledge was imparted in a series of steps or degrees. Okay, so the concept of going to a liberal arts school, or even the concept of liberal arts, comes out of the Nile Valley region of Africa. In Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James, he talks about the 7 liberal arts, the 7 liberal arts, the trivium and the quadrivium. He talks about the logic and the arithmetic and rhetoric, things of this nature. Okay. And the concept of going to an institution of higher learning and getting your credentials in a series of degrees comes out of ancient Africa. But in the Grand Lodges, in their temples, you study for 42 years and you got 360 degrees of knowledge. Europeans learn less than 10% of what Africans taught them in the ancient Egyptian mystery system, ancient Kemetic mystery system. Europeans learn less than 10% of what the ancient Africans taught them. So the highest degree in Freemasonry is 33 degrees. Okay, 10% of 360 is 36. 33 is less than the 36. They learn less than 10% of what the Africans knew, the ancient Africans knew. Now, Masonic temples are considered houses of light or temples of learning, the the house of life. Okay. The term Mason, child of light, is a direct reference to the highest degree of the ancient Kemetic education system. The 33 degrees of instruction within Freemasonry represent a fraction of the 360 degrees of instruction that comprised the Kemetic system of education. Yet with less than 10% of the wisdom of ancient Kemet, Freemasons have held position of influence and power throughout the world for over 200 years. Okay, read page 33 of Egypt on the Potomac by Tony Browder. Also, 50 of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence and 13 of the 13 signers of the U.S. Constitution were Freemasons. And 4 of the first 5 U.S. presidents were Freemasons, and there have been 14 Freemasons who have been U.S. presidents altogether. Read page 18 of Egypt on the Potomac. So here's a famous statue of Aset and Heru, and then from Aset and Heru we get the Black Madonna and Child, and from that we get the White Mary and Jesus. As you have a rise in European powers coming out of the Dark Ages, going into like the 1400s, 1500s, as you have a rise in European powers, you start having a rise in the dominance of the European phenotype and a suppression of the African phenotype. And we're going to see this reflected in artwork. We're going to see this reflected in things like when Michelangelo paints the Sistine Chapel, okay, in the early 1600s, I think it was, he paints the Sistine Chapel. He uses his aunt and uncle as the model for Adam and Eve. We know that Europeans were worshiping the Black Madonna and Child even before the Moors go in. Let me look at something here. Yeah, early 1500, 1508 to 1512. Yeah, early 16th century. The Sistine Chapel is painted. Okay, I'm going to post a link here again so you can register for this course. We're going to wrap up here in a few minutes. I'm going to jump in so we can teach the first portion of this class. So we take you through our history, and then we'll go through and look at some of the history of the Moors in Europe, and the Moors taking the teachings from the Nile Valley region of Africa, taking it into Europe. We'll look at things like why is Christmas celebrated on December 25th, because nowhere in the biblical text does it state that Yeshua or or Jesus the Christ was born on December 25th. That deals with astronomy, and that deals with the winter solstice. And we know that the winter solstice is connected to Christmas being celebrated. Okay, and the winter solstice also is connected to the first day of winter. First day of winter occurs usually on December 20th or December 21st, right in that period of time. And December 25th marks an increase in the amount of sunlight. After December 21st, there's each subsequent day, there's an increase in the amount of sunlight. This all deals with astronomy.
Did you know that the Washington Monument is based upon an ancient African structure called a Tekhen that comes from the mythology of Asar, Arset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus? Did you know that the panther deity Bast in the movie Black Panther and Wakanda Forever comes from an ancient African deity, a neter in ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet, called Bastet? Did you know that there were 17 pyramids found buried underneath Egypt around 2011? Also, the city of Memphis, Tennessee. What's the relationship between Memphis, Tennessee and Memphis in ancient Egypt? I'm historian and national political commentator Michael Imhotep. Be sure to register for my new 12-week online history course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Kemet is one of the original names for Egypt. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Did you know that the word Wakanda is a real word? We find it in the Key Congo language, which is a Bantu language, but we also find it in the Omaha Ponca and Sioux Indian Native American languages. My class starts up Saturday, March 1st, 2025, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a 12-week online history course. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. We do with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. When we talk about the transatlantic slave trade, we can't start our studying of the history in 1619 in Hampton, Virginia, or in Jamestown. We can't start in 1441 with the transatlantic slave trade starting with the Portuguese. We have to deal with thousands of years of history that leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We'll deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, who take the teachings from the Nile Valley region of Africa into Europe, and this is what brings Europe out of the Dark Ages.
Is your child struggling with reading, writing, learning loss, and a culturally irrelevant curriculum? Do you want your child to be outstanding at reading and writing, and also take pride in their culture? Then you want Reading Revolution Online. Reading Revolution Online is a web-based reading support program. We serve scholars in grades K through 8, and through our innovative approach, we help them build reading confidence and cultural identity development, equipping them for success in school and life. They learn about Black heroes and sheroes through captioned videos, reading selections, and other activities. Reading Revolution Online is an experience for the whole family. Do it for the culture. Go to readingrevolution.org and get your membership today.
Support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Here's our QR code for Cash App right here, the bottom of the screen. The information is also on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the online classes that I teach. We do the classes live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. So you can go back and watch it anytime. You don't have to join us live in the class. And then you can download you can order my DVD lectures and digital downloads of my presentations as well. So that all will help you and help us as well. Yeah, we know African American History Month is coming up also. Follow us. Now I just shut down I just deactivated my TikTok account because I ain't doing TikTok. I don't know if I'll go back to it. I'm not sure. But I have downloaded Fanbase, so I'm setting up Fanbase also. Everybody download Fanbase, set that up. That's an African American owned and operated social media platform owned by Isaac Hayes III. Okay, so you can support us here. Register for the online classes I teach Saturdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register right here for it. You can do a debit card, credit card, or PayPal. Download our class lesson plan here. We have our Cash App right here, $ the AHN show. So if you type it into Cash App, type in the full tag, $ the AHN show, SHOW, because there's some fake ones out there, and they'll come up before you type in all of it. Okay. Ours, it will say Michael, and it may show my picture there. Okay. So we have a QR code here, and this shows it also right here, this graphic here. And then paypal.me/the AHN show through PayPal. And I know through PayPal, you can set it up for a recurring contribution if you want to. We definitely appreciate that as well. I can't remember if you can do that, set up for a recurring contribution through Cash App. Okay. All right. Look, we have to get out of here. Hopefully you learned a lot today, because this is a lot of work to put all this together. Hopefully you learned a lot today. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you next.
Here at Sage and Elm, it's a plant thing. Everything is made by hand from plants, from our salves to our soaps, our lotions, our oils. Come shop our over 400